Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. Today we're going to discuss the subject of what are the first steps towards becoming a digital nomad or going offshore. If you've never done any of this before, what is it you should do? And so this is kind of inspired by, I was having a conversation with a client earlier today who, actually I've had a few people who I've been talking to lately, and they haven't gone, and maybe you're similar to them, they haven't gone and had a lot of experience with much international, but they know they're disgruntled with where they're at. They know they're interested in maybe paying less tax, maybe having more freedom, maybe having a backup plan, etc. And sometimes they feel that where they are, either maybe you're an American and you feel having U.S. citizenship is more of a liability than an asset today. Maybe you're somebody living somewhere else and you say, hey, listen, you know what? I'm just sick of this. So you want to change. And so the question is, when you're in that position, what are the first steps, right? You have nothing, where do you start? And I'm going to cover that today. I'm going to go over with you what I would recommend as the top 3 things to get started with. And then I'll give you kind of the next steps, depending on where you're at, stepping out from there. So we're going to dive into that. Before we do, though, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, make sure you don't miss out on any of our videos. I try to produce great content for you every single day. You can go back and check out some of our other videos. Hopefully you enjoy them. If you do, please let me know. If you don't, let me know about that as well. I appreciate the feedback. And if you would like me to produce any information on any content, please let me know, and definitely, happy to do that for you. In addition to that, if you're interested at all in help with paying the lowest legal amount of tax possible, we help with international tax planning, international asset protection. We help you to form companies. We help you to open bank accounts. We help you to get citizenships. We help you to get residencies. We help you to get unofficial citizenships, and much more. You can reach out to me. You can book a call, clarity.fm/Michael Rosmer. There's a link in the description below, or you can visit our websites, offshorecitizen.net and offshorecapitalist.com, and you can send us a message through either of those. Okay, so if I'm getting started, right, let's say that, maybe you're somebody, you've traveled a little bit, but you've mostly lived in a particular country. I can speak for my own experience coming from Canada. I was talking to somebody yesterday, I think it was, who was from the US. I talked to somebody else earlier today who was from Australia. People from all over the place. Maybe you're in that situation and, you like the idea of getting a second passport. You like the idea of having a residency somewhere else, of not paying, maybe paying no tax, right? Of, maybe having some banking elsewhere, etc. What's the best way to go? So the first thing that I really, really, really encourage people to do is to travel, okay? So I've sometimes had people reach out to me and say something like, yeah, I'm thinking I'll move to Andorra. And the question that I ask them is, have you been to Andorra? Because, if you have and you like it, fantastic, right? I have some friends who, they love it there. They like the idea of going skiing, living there for part of the year. Cool, great. But if you haven't been there, it's maybe a little bit extreme to just decide you're going to move there. Now, if you're the type of person who wants to just go in both feet right off the bat, great, do it. But generally, I think that's, it's not emotionally comfortable. It's not psychologically comfortable. It's not necessarily that safe. In the sense that you may end up kind of making a mistake. So I always think it's good to kind of get your toes wet. And the best way to do this is to start by traveling somewhere for an extended period of time, get an Airbnb, spend a month there. So what would I do here? I would start by making a list of possible places that I might like to go. So for the purposes of anyone who's interested in paying low tax, I'll give you a few, but the reality is you should go and explore for yourself some of the areas you might be interested in, okay? So places to look, if you were thinking about low tax, would typically be Thailand, Malaysia. There's some things you can do in Vietnam, some things you can do in the Philippines. Those would all be options of places to go check out. In Europe, you would think Cyprus, Malta, Portugal, Bulgaria, Montenegro. Those would typically be some of your places that you would look from a low tax standpoint. Or if you're talking about Latin America, you would talk maybe about Panama, Uruguay, Paraguay, Chile, maybe some of the islands. I have somebody I've talked to recently who's interested in going and living in Antigua. Wonderful, right? Wherever the place is for you. But the bottom line is go and spend some time there and get an Airbnb. Pretend that you actually live there. I was talking to somebody the other day. He and his wife are going down to Costa Rica to do this for a few months, right? It's not a big commitment. If it doesn't work out, no problems. You can always come. Well, you are going to come back. You're just there for a little bit of time. Experience what it's like. And I would suggest that you go and do this in a few different places. Okay, so don't just go to one place, go to a few places, see what you think. Go to Dubai. Dubai is another one that you could add to that list. If you've never been there before, you might have preconceived notions. I have a close friend, longtime friend and client, who he had never been to Dubai, and he was asking me for some advice of where to go. He ended up moving somewhere else and then doing a trip down to Dubai. And he said, "This is great. Why didn't I move here?" And I said, well, you had these preconceived notions, you had these biases before going there. So it's important to go to the place and get rid of those biases to have a sense of what it's really like. Okay, so that's step one. Step one, make up a list of some places, go, maybe take 3 months, 2 months, whatever it is, go and spend, a month in each one and see how you like it. The next thing that goes along with that I think is super important and probably highly underspoken about in this area is friendships, contact. So, for instance, I lived, when I moved out of Canada, the first time I moved away was I moved to the States to go to school. So I had the school environment, right? I knew people based on that. It happened that I moved near Seattle. I had a great aunt who lived there. So I had I had some people I could talk to, right? I lived in Costa Rica for 3 winters. There was people I was doing business with, longtime friends, etc. So again, I had a social net. When I came to Eastern Europe for the first time, I specifically was coming to see a friend and client who he had ancestry from that area and was busy visiting. And so I figured, okay, this is a place to start. So I think it's always nicer when you can go to a new place knowing some people. So actually there's 2 ways to do this. The one way is to say, hey, listen, if there's some people you can connect with, who you can travel with, that's really cool because, then you share this journey together and, you can enjoy that. So I know a bunch of people, especially in the online world, who have done that. I think it's really, really great. But if you don't have that, then go someplace where you can meet somebody. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people don't know somebody. So at this point in time, I'm very blessed. I know people in, probably 50 countries or something like that in all the continents. And so I can pretty much, know people there. But when you're starting out, you don't have that, right? And you might think, hey, I'm going to this new area. I don't know anybody. I don't know the language. How's this going to work? So I'm going to give you some tips on how it is that you can get to know some people. So the first thing I would suggest is go use Facebook. Facebook, in most cases, there is a Facebook group for each of the major cities. So for instance, I'm in Sofia right now. In Sofia, there's this group called Sofia Foreigners and Friends. There's probably 25,000 people there, okay? Not all these people are going to be like-minded. That's fine. You can go and you can join that group. You can tell people, hey, listen, I'm coming to this area. I'm interested in meeting some people. Is there anyone interested in XYZ, right? List off some things you like. And you can do this over a series of posts. But you'll make some connections that way so that when you're coming there, you have some people to connect with. And this will make it a much better experience and a much easier experience, okay? These people can help you find places, they can help you get set up, they can help you with, whatever the issues are, it's gonna be way better, okay? Number 2, you probably have some sort of industry groups. So for instance, say you're talking about online marketing, right? Well, there's affiliate groups, there's dropshipping groups, there's Amazon FBA groups, there's e-com groups, etc. Now, these don't necessarily have to be people in the same industry. Maybe you're an affiliate and you're going to connect with somebody who's in e-com, right? Something like that. But the point is, join those groups, and then what I would do is I would make a post saying something to the effect of like, hey, where's everybody from? And look and see where you'll probably get quite a bit of engagement if it's a good group. And, somebody's going to say, I'm from Germany, I'm from Austria, I'm from, Thailand, I'm from here, or whatever, right? And people are going to list these out. The people who are in places that you want to go to, you can reach out to those people directly. Or you can also put posts here saying something like, hey, listen, I'm going to this place. Is anybody going to be around, right? And you're going to find there's certain places that there's a nexus of people. So for instance, if you're talking about the online space, if you go to Bali, in particular, kind of like the Seminyak area, if you go to Thailand, you've got Bangkok, to some extent Chiang Mai has kind of a different crowd, but a little bit similar. If you go to Netherlands, Amsterdam, there's a lot of people. Barcelona tends to cultivate people. London cultivate people. So this is a really good thing where you can connect with some people. The third way that I would connect with people, which is only applicable if you're single, but if you are single, then I would suggest use online dating apps. So this is one of the things that back in the day when I used to be single would be useful. I'd go and I'd join these dating apps and I would try and meet some people before I showed up there, right? So that way, again, you've got some social content can be kind of exciting. You're like, oh, I'm excited to go and meet this person, right? This person who I've been talking to, who, they're really cool, they seem great, etc. Wonderful. And then they're going to know some people. And so through that, you can get this contact. So I think that's the second part. Is number one, go and explore. Number two, build some relationships. Those relationships will just serve you invaluably in terms of helping you to enjoy those experiences a lot more. It'll make things a lot easier, and it's just going to enrich your life in a lot of different ways. So that's the second. The third thing I think you can do is opening a bank account. So opening bank accounts doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take a long time, and you can actually often do it remotely. So the most basic type of bank account that most people could set up is a TransferWise account. TransferWise, for those of you who don't know, I'll do a video on it, but is basically, it's one of these fintech virtual banks. So they kind of provide a layer of digital abstraction on top of the services. Now, there are like dozens of these things, but TransferWise is a really solid, reputable, easy to use, works well option. And it just so happens that for the purposes of your travel, this could make it a lot easier because you can get a credit card and you can have it draw on your different balances. So it can save you on conversion fees when you're traveling. So now sometimes I have a credit card that has no conversion fees and I still get points, so it's better off than TransferWise, but sometimes you're not in that situation, so this can be a great option. Okay, so that would be the third thing. Now, beyond that, you might start to look at, okay, what is the situation going to be in terms of just doing some research as to what places might be good from a tax or living standpoint. Okay, and that's going to really depend on the type of business you're in. You might also do some research in terms of what residency programs there are, and you might also do some research in terms of what passport programs there are. I try to put lots of good content in that sense, so you can go back and watch lots of our videos, and I kind of highlight different places, and you can learn a little bit about what it's like. And if you have questions, by all means, reach out to me. In fact, also, if you're interested in connecting with local people, we'll maybe arrange some things, and I'm happy to introduce you to some people if it's relevant to them and to you as you, go to different parts of the world. So anyway, that's kind of the basic overview that I would give you. I would say these three things to recap. Number one, go travel, check out some different places, do extended stays where you live kind of like a local, not, on the resort in Cancun. That's a little bit different. Number two, go and build relationships in those places. I gave you 3 different suggestions through Facebook groups that are connected with that area, kind of industry Facebook groups, and possibly some sort of dating thing that you can got going on. I guess you could also combine that with conferences. Obviously, conferences are kind of closed right now, but when they are open, it's a good way to connect with a whole bunch of people. And then last, take an opportunity, just go and open a bank account. TransferWise is super easy. There's no fees, so you don't have to worry about, having a bank account sitting there that you're not using, that it's charging you $20 a month or something like that. You can put $5,000 in there, $10,000 in there, whatever it is, and get that process started. As you go along, later on, you're gonna probably open local bank accounts wherever you are. You're gonna go get residency permits. Maybe you're gonna get a citizenship. You're gonna build a corporate structure, all these sorts of things. But for now, this is just like a really easy set of steps that you can do without much commitment that are gonna help you to feel comfortable. So I hope that helps. If it does, please let me know. If it doesn't, or if you have other suggestions, please put them in the comments below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. And as I said, if you're at all interested in these subjects, please reach out to me. You can book a call, clarity.fm/Michael Rosmer, and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on the next video.